If you're a nurse over 50 and you've been thinking about creating something beyond nursing for a long time, but somehow you're still in the exact same place, you're not alone. And you're probably not stuck for the reason you think. Because after spending more than 20 years trying to create more options for myself, I finally realized something. The nurses who move forward aren't necessarily smarter. They don't necessarily have more time, and they definitely don't have everything figured out. But they do understand one thing that most nurses miss. And by the end of this video, you'll understand that too. I'm Christy. I've been a nurse for 34 years. And for more than 20 of those, I've been trying to create income beyond nursing. Not because I dislike nursing, but I wanted more options, more flexibility, more freedom over my time. And for years, I thought my biggest challenge was finding the right business. So I'd start searching for something exciting. I'd jump right in, start learning, planning, researching, dreaming about where it could take me. And honestly, those beginning stages felt really exciting. Every new idea felt like it might just be the answer that changed everything. But looking back now, I can see that I spent way more time searching than I did building. And I think that's where a lot of nurses get stuck. Looking back now, I think I had a serious case of shiny object syndrome. And honestly, I don't think I even realized it at the time. Because if I felt busy, I felt productive. If I was learning, I felt like I was moving forward. If I was researching, I felt like I was making progress. But looking back, it wasn't progress at all. It was procrastination. And that's hard to admit. Because nobody wants to think they've spent years holding themselves back. But that's exactly what I was doing. The best way I can describe the search became the drug. You know how some people get hooked on gambling? That's kind of how it felt. I was constantly searching for that one thing that was finally going to give me the freedom and flexibility I had wanted so badly. The next business, the next course, the next strategy idea. And every time I found something new, I got excited all over again because for a little while, it felt like I was getting closer. But eventually, I'd hit a roadblock, or results wouldn't come as quickly as I'd hoped, or the work got harder than I expected. And instead of pushing through, I'd start wondering if there was something better, easier, faster, something I was missing. And before I knew it, I was off chasing the next thing. What I didn't realize at the time was that I wasn't giving anything I tried enough time to work. I wasn't staying focused long enough. I wasn't building. I was searching. And over the years, that cost me thousands of dollars. And not because the courses were bad. The problem was they weren't always what I needed at that stage of my journey. I was collecting information, adding another course to my belt loop, when what I really needed was implementation. And honestly, that's one of the reasons I had to get off social media. Because I'd catch myself scrolling, looking, searching, and before long, I'd see another ad, another opportunity, another promise, another shining object pulling my attention away from the thing I should have been focused on. And that's when I finally started asking myself a difficult question. Was I really stuck because I hadn't found the right path? Or was I stuck because I was afraid to stay on the one I had found long enough to see if it would work? And if this is resonating with you right now, I created the Nurse Second Act Insider List just for you. Each week I share lessons I'm learning, mistakes I've made, and things that are making my life easier too. If I'm being completely honest, I think fear had a lot more to do with it than I want to admit. Because as long as I was searching, I never had to fully commit. And if I never fully committed, I never had to find out whether I could actually make it work. And that's hard to admit. Commitment means choosing a direction and sticking with it when the excitement wears off. It means showing up when nobody's clapping, when nobody's watching, or when the results aren't showing up yet. And that's the part nobody talks about. The beginning's exciting. The dreaming, the planning, the possibility is exciting. But building, it requires repetition, patience. It requires faith that what you're doing today may not pay off for months, maybe not even years. And that's where I struggled, because every time something got difficult, there was another shiny opportunity waiting for me, another ad, another course, another person promising faster results. And for a long time, I convinced myself that I was being smart, that I was keeping my options open. And I convinced myself I was still moving forward. But looking back, I think I was protecting myself from disappointment. Because if I kept starting over, I never had to face the possibility of failing. I could always tell myself, maybe that just wasn't the right business. And maybe you've done that too. Maybe you've thought about creating something beyond nursing. Maybe you've looked into different businesses, different ideas, or different paths. And every time you get close to starting, another idea catches your attention, or doubt creeps in, or maybe fear starts asking questions. What if this doesn't work out? What if I waste my time? What if I'm too old? What if I don't know enough? I've asked every one of those questions. But eventually I realized something. The nurses who create options for themselves aren't the ones who have no fear. They're the ones who stop letting fear make the decisions. And that's when it finally clicked for me. I realized I didn't need another course. I didn't need another business idea. What I needed was focus. I needed to stop looking left, stop looking right, and start putting my blinders on. Because the truth is, there will always be another opportunity, another ad, another person promising a faster path, another shining object competing for your attention. Always. The question isn't whether those things exist. The question is whether you're willing to stay focused on what you've already decided matters. And that was a hard lesson for me because I love learning. I love ideas. I love the creative side. I love dreaming about what's possible. But eventually, I had to learn the difference between learning and building. Learning feels productive. Building creates results. I spent years collecting information, but information wasn't what was missing. Execution was. Staying consistent, focus. And honestly, I still have to remind myself of that because I'm not sitting here telling you I've got it all figured out. I'm still learning. But one thing I know for sure is this. The moment I stopped looking for the perfect path and started committing to it, everything began to change. Not overnight, but I finally started moving forward because my energy wasn't scattered anymore. It was focused. And that's what I think a lot of nurses over 50 need to hear. You don't need to have everything figured out, and you don't need a perfect plan. You just need to stop searching long enough to give yourself a chance to learn, to grow, a chance to see what happens when you stay with something long enough to start seeing results. And honestly, that's why I wanted to make this video, because I know there are nurses watching right now who are exactly where I was. You've been thinking about creating something beyond nursing for a long time. Maybe you've looked at different opportunities, different businesses, and maybe you're starting to wonder if it's ever going to happen for you. Believe me, I understand that feeling because I've lived it. But what I want you to know is this. The moment I stopped chasing every new possibility and started focusing on one direction, everything started to feel different. I feel more focused than I've felt in years, more energized, more clear. This path feels real and it feels doable. For the first time in a long time, I don't feel like I have to be everywhere, show up on every platform, learn every strategy, or chase every opportunity that comes along. That was exhausting and it was keeping me stuck. Today, my focus feels steady. The blinders are on, and all that energy I used to spend searching, I'm finally spending building. And that's a completely different feeling. So if you're watching this and you've been waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect opportunity, maybe the answer isn't finding something new. Maybe it's choosing one path and giving it a real chance, long enough to learn and to grow, long enough to find out what you're really capable of. And if you're a nurse over 50 who wants more options, more flexibility, and a future beyond nursing, I'd love to have you join my Nurse Second Act Insider List. I'll drop the link below. Every Tuesday, I share personal lessons, what's going on behind the scenes, and things I'm learning too. But before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Can you relate to shiny object syndrome, or is it just me? Let me know in the comments below. And who knows, your answer might help another nurse realize she's not alone. And remember, there's still chapters left to write.